I'm here outside of the Pinstone branch of Barclays in Sheffield, where various students and campaigners have gathered outside as part of a national week of action calling for Barclays to end their investment in fossil fuels.
Yes, we're here this morning with people from a wide range of organisations, and the campaign simply is Boycott Barclays, because I think the people of Yorkshire really deserve to know about the fact that Barclays owns the company Third Energy that's planning to frack in Ryedale in North Yorkshire. So here we're getting the message out to passing shoppers, to passers-by, to say, Barclays, you have to stop this, or we're calling on people to boycott Barclays, not use their services. They really need to pay a penalty for doing something that the British people clearly don't want to happen.
And why are you so passionate about this topic?
Well, I think fracking, there's three layers on this really. First of all, there are local communities like, for example, Mossborough, which has just been notified that they're planning to do seismic testing out there. Local communities face environmental impacts, certain environmental impacts, big lorry movements, lots of lorry movements, things like light pollution, damage to their local environment. There's also the risk of spills, the risk of contamination of underground water supplies. And then there's the broader issues, which is the issue of climate change and the fact we have to leave at least 2/3 of our known fossil fuel reserves in the ground if we're going to avoid catastrophic climate change. And that means we shouldn't be looking for more fossil fuel reserves, we should be investing in renewable energy and energy conservation. Which brings me to the third point, which is that basically the government is entirely distracted. The people who might be investing, Barclays could be investing in renewable energy, could be supporting community-owned renewable energy, but instead it's going for the fossil fuel dinosaur. So, we saying no fracking. The British public, only around about 20% of British people back fracking, 83% back solar farms, 73% back wind farms. Barclays and, of course, the government are heading in entirely the wrong directions.
Around a year ago, when the government announced that they were granting permission for fracking to take place in national parks, I spoke to Michael Kind, who was a representative of People and Planet and who had helped organise a protest at the time. At today's protest, I caught up with him to find out whether anything had changed since then.
A significant number of things have changed, not necessarily in the right direction. There's been constant pressure on Barclays, but when we first protested a year ago, the situation was that the government had said that fracking was going to be allowed in national parks, and that's why we were protesting. But since then, Third Energy have been granted a licence to frack in North Yorkshire. In Lancashire, there's been licences granted to companies to frack, and that was incredibly problematic because the local council themselves said no to it, and the government overruled them, which is quite an interesting development, if you like. And I think it's quite likely that we'll see more things like that happening. So the pressure's been really turned up, the government are really pushing for it, companies are really pushing for it, and we're here today to take action because as they push harder, we're going to fight back harder and resist even more.
Natalie Bennett and Michael Kind explained to me how fracking could potentially affect us here in the UK. However, I was also interested in finding out how it can impact other parts of the world.
If you look at places that, like Bangladesh, for instance, that's flooding. They have massive amounts of flooding. We're actually having flooding in this country, right? We're having worse winters. We know that this has been affected. We know that our climate has been affected. And as a result of that, poorer nations will suffer most. You've got island nations that are underwater, right, as a result of our ignorance. If we stopped it, and actually went in a totally different direction, those nations wouldn't be underwater. They wouldn't be displaced. You think that places like Haiti and things like that, they're going to be affected like this. Who knows what causes this climate change? If you look at all the fossil fuels that are going into the atmosphere now, they could be causing the hurricanes and things that we've actually had increase in hurricanes, we've had increase in natural disasters, earthquakes and things like that. We know that fracking causes earthquakes. That's been well documented. It started in, I think it was in Oklahoma. Oklahoma had barely anything. Two or three a year. Last year it were up to 800 in 1 year. So that's as a direct result of fracking. That is the kind of devastation that fracking will cause, and it will do that in this country. We're all humans, we all breathe air and we all drink water, right? So we'll all be affected.
Sheffield Live contacted Barclays for a statement, and this is what they had to say. Through global natural resources investments, Barclays has a majority stake in Third Energy, a British business with a history of investment and good corporate citizenship in North Yorkshire. Third Energy has been drilling, developing and producing gas in the region for over 20 years, with excellent environmental and safety record. We are conscious of the concerns of local communities and other groups over potential environmental and community impacts, which we take seriously and will continue to monitor. We have worked closely with Third Energy to ensure their plans are compatible with our values. I'm Siobhan Freeman Powell, and Sheffield Live reports.